Today is indeed one of the very important and I would say a privileged day for NMIMS University. It's a day when we are not just merely having yet another event, but an event to recognize the contribution of one of the very senior members of the Shri Vilepale Kelvani Mandal, our parent body, Shri Sunandan Divatia ji. Sir, we are indeed privileged by your decision. Honorable President, we are indeed privileged today with your decision. You have firmly believed in the fact that it is important for SVKM to recognize individuals who have contributed to the growth of SVKM and not just merely name the schools on the basis of those who are willing to pay a huge amount of money to us to bring these schools. And that is the personal conviction of Amrish Bhai. And this gets reflected in the number of school names that you would see over here. As early, and this is not just merely, I would say, Amrish Bhai, but I would even imagine even Mukesh Bhai did that. They did the same thing. Way back in 1998, when the school was started, it was started with the name of Chaturbuj Narsee. So it came to be known as CNM School. Praveen Bhai has been one of the very old contributor to SVKM in a very big way. So SVKM decided to name its undergraduate school in the name of his wife, Usha Praveen Gandhi School, College, and later the Praveen Gandhi College of Law. And in 2012, to recognize the contribution that Balwant Bhai had made to NMIMS and to SVKM in a very big way, President decided to name our School of Architecture as Balwant Sheth School of Architecture. Today, we are naming our School of Science in the name of Shri Sunandan Divatia, and that's a great moment for us. Please join me in complimenting our President and Shri Sunandan Divatia ji for all the contributions that he has made. Ladies and gentlemen, many of you would know him as Honorary Secretary of SVKM. Some would know him as the founding member and secretary of the Gymkhana in Juhu. But let me mention how I have known him as the Vice Chancellor of this university. Let me mention that perhaps the first time that I got to know him was in 1998 when I was at NMIMS as the Dean of the School of Business. And he had just come in as the Joint Secretary at that point of time. And almost at that same point of time. So I got to know him at that point of time, but those were those very flirting moments, I would say, when I got to know him. But in real terms that I got to know him was after 2008 when I joined, 2007, after I joined as the advisor to the President and Chancellor of NMIMS and later became the Vice Chancellor of this university in 2009. What are my kind of impressions about him? He's a person who's a man of principles, a very strongly, a man who firmly believes in principles. He doesn't compromise on the principle. He says, well, you don't have to fit a solution to just meet a particular need. Look at the principle, look at the value system, and that is what I think was very significant about Sunandan Bhai. The second very important part of it has been that all along in his discussions, even when we may not have necessarily agreed with him, but he gave us another perspective, a perspective that was based out of his experience of the corporate world and experience of running the NGOs like the Gymkhana and SVKM, and certainly his own kind of involvement in a large number of social causes back at his own hometown and in the city of Mumbai, particularly in the field of education. I've seen him as a person who's assertive, a person who gives his opinion, certainly, a very strongly opinionated person, which I think every one of us would become almost at this age. But irrespective of that, the fact is that almost every time that he gave his opinion, it had a very, very valuable meaning to all of us in the university because it gave us yet another way to look at a problem. All these years, I must say, I have personally had great learnings with him, and at the same time, I would say, I have seen in him an ardent admirer of some of the key things, some of the finer aspects of life too. Many of us may not necessarily get to know about it. And my memory goes back to one of the pre-convocation evening function that we were having at SBM in 2009. That was just the first function that I had organized, very much on the lines that I would have done it, whether it had been at IIM or even over here earlier. And we had invited a classical artist, the sarod player, Pandit Satish Vyas. To my utter surprise, none of the students were there, but there were a few from SVKM who were there with me, and some of my faculty members were there with me. I was very disheartened. At the end of the recital, a person who walks over to me and cheers me up was Mr. Divatia. He said, "Dr. Saxena, it was a great evening that you organized, and I firmly believe that you should be doing more of this also." A great kind of an admirer of some of the finer aspects of life, which we very often forget when we really run our businesses or we look at our own kind of a day-to-day life itself. Ladies and gentlemen, more about him is going to be mentioned by his son Shalin, and we are going to know more about him. But suffice it to say, invariably in our finance committee meetings and in our management committee meetings, Mr. Divatia has either has not said a word, or when he has said, that word has had a lot of meaning to everybody sitting in that meetings itself. Our School of Science, like any other school in the university, because the university itself is just about 12 years old. We became a university in 2003. Earlier, we were the business school. From 1981 onwards, we were the business school. And in 12 years time period, after we became the university has made some very, very significant strides. And the School of Science, which is our young school, one of our 9 other schools, set up post 2007. Today, that school is engaged in a big way in the area of stem cell research, cancer research, and nanochemistry, and is also engaged in a whole lot of allied health sciences area, an area that we wish to grow over a period of time, much the same way as we wish to invest in a big way in the cancer research and in nanochemistry, or let's say the green chemistry or stem cell itself. I'm sure over a period of time, the faculty and the Dean School of Science will live up to the values, to the principles today that come with the name called Shri Sunandan Divatia. With these words, let me say once again, we are indeed today privileged that with this decision of SVKM, our School of Science gets associated with an individual who have given his life, who has contributed in a big way to SVKM and to many other social causes in the city as also in his own hometown, besides being a finance and a legal expert in SVKM. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and please enjoy the day.